Hi, it's Mike DelSignore. I'm down the street from the Wrentham District Court, and this is the court that you'll have to appear if you're charged with OUI by the Norfolk Police, Foxborough Police, Walpole Police. I've done a lot of cases out of Wrentham District Court over the years. I want to explain some of the keys to winning an OUI case and some of the things that you'll want to be aware of. Most of these departments have video evidence, so Walpole, Wrentham, Foxborough, they all have video, and often it's helpful to get that video. It's going to show that you don't appear under the influence of alcohol, show you're cooperative, how you speak, so it will counter some common observations in OUI cases, like that you had slurred speech or you're unsteady on your feet. So that's number one. Number two, people need to understand the license consequences. If you took a breath test, it was over 0.08, it's only a 30-day suspension. After 30 days, you get your full license back. If you refused a breath test, it's 6-month suspension. You can go to the RMV in Boston or to appeal that suspension, and it's 15 days. You have to go within 15 days, including weekends or holidays. Those appeals are tough to win, but it is a right you have to try to appeal those. And I can explain how I have won those in the past and what technical legal arguments I make to say that the refusal suspension is invalid. The other way to get your license back quickly on the refusal suspension, if you go to trial and you're found not guilty, there's a presumption of reinstatement. So keep those two things in mind. Final thing is, keep in mind that just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're going to be found guilty. So there's a vast difference between being charged and being found guilty, because to be found guilty, the government's going to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a high standard of proof, and the reason why that's tough to do in an OUI case is they're subjective cases, they're crimes of opinion. Officers' opinion can be wrong. They're looking at things through one lens to say that you're under the influence of alcohol. But when you read the report and when we discuss this, they're going to say things like, well, you didn't get your license, you fumbled for it. You could have been nervous. They're going to comment on how you did on the field test. Well, the officer often won't know, like, your medical condition. They'll a lot of times ask if you have any medical conditions, and you'll a lot of times say no. But at that point, you had no idea what the officer is going to ask you to do. You didn't know you were going to be balancing on one leg. You didn't know you'd be walking 9 steps, and you didn't know how fussy these exercises were going to be scored. So all those things we can bring to light to point out to a judge or to a jury to say, well, the officer's opinion was just incorrect, was misinformed. If he had considered these things, maybe his opinion would change. But we're not really debating with the officer. We're saying that, maybe the officer is right. Maybe it was unclear, he smelled some alcohol, but he was only applying what the law calls a probable cause standard. So it took very little for the officer to get you off the road. But to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, much higher burden. So the officer could be right, could have done his job, and you still can be found not guilty. And often that's one of the best strategies. If in more complex cases where we need to explain evidence, I prepare you to testify, and you might have to testify, explain your version. But there's a lot to this, and I'll explain it all to you. Most people come in, say they feel better after talk to me because they know the process, there's less uncertainty, and they have knowledge of what is in their best interest. Sometimes your best interest may be to resolve the case, sometimes it's to take it to trial. Whatever it is, I'm happy to explain that to you. Call me, 781-686-5924. You can call anytime, nights, weekends. It's never too late, too early to call. I'm here to help.